You know, on this show, we often like to highlight the fact that there are people where they just offer double standards. You know the ones I'm talking about. I mean, when you recall back to that now infamous Newsnight interview with Emily Maitlis and His Royal Highness the Duke of York, Prince Andrew, she really took the bull by the horns, didn't she, and ran off, making sure that she managed to get as much publicity as she possibly could. But no, she's a serious journalist. That's what I've always been told. You see, people like Emily forget that you sat next to them for many years during their short tenure, shall we say, at Sky News, and we all shared the same earpiece. So I knew exactly how the producers were schooling, guiding, and of course, pushing forward their own narrative. Seemingly, they forget that you could hear the very same questions being fed to Emily as was in your earpiece also. You see, it's always there. But what's interesting now is that Emily has decided to come out on this. That's right, the recent BBC presenter scandal regarding Hugh Edwards. Apparently we're all being too nasty, we should pull back, etc. This is Emily, giving an interview all about the BBC scandal regarding Hugh Edwards. And of course her co-host, John Sopel, another ex-BBC star, has also been giving interviews to all and sundry. Why? Because they're plugging their podcast. Not naming it, but that's the reason what they do. Now, what's interesting is she's pointing out that there was no criminality, no police involvement, and, that's the situation, drawn a line under it, etc. But as many people would also point out, she didn't afford the same courtesy to His Royal Highness Prince Andrew, did she not? Oh no, dashed off, made sure that she became a cover star on Tatler, surrounded by a few whippets, if you remember that photo shoot, even recently turning up at the Barbie premiere, dressed in pink, making sure, of course, that, well, no, she's not a celebrity, she's a serious journalist. And the reason why I highlight this is, and I do say this genuinely, these people are absolutely fake and shallow. They want to be famous, so this is exactly how they move in to that particular genre. Susanna Reid over on Good Morning Britain, started out as an actress, but suddenly saw the light later on and decided to become a journalist. Some might say she wasn't a particularly good actress, but wanted to be famous. I'll leave it there. That's all. Back to Emily. Now, as I say, yes, maybe she's right. Maybe the mainstream media should rein in on Hugh Edwards and then say, well, if he's in hospital recovering some mental health issues, we don't wish anything like that on him. But again, with Emily, you would have to say, well, at that point, there was no criminality charges against His Royal Highness Prince Andrew, and still none to date. Whichever way you look at it, yes, there was a payment. We know all about that. But it's one rule for one and one for the other. And as somebody pointed out, Emily and John and the rest of the team of her podcast, they very regularly shred the current government over here every week in their podcasts. Do not give the same affordability to the opposition. You get the picture. So everybody has their own narrative to push. What I'm presenting to you with impartiality is just how impartial have they been towards Prince Andrew? Not much when you think about it. And both Emily and her one-time producer, Sam McAllister, have both sold their versions to streaming giants to turn into docudramas all about that now infamous interview. So if anybody did well out of it, it certainly was Emily and certainly was Sam. Now, will they be doing the same with you? Should, of course, things take a turn for the worst. It's still not over yet. There's much of an investigation going on internally in the BBC. But for now, Emily wants everybody to zip it. Is she right? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.